Sheasby Podcast, check it out.
The Sheasby audio experience.
Dream by day, Sheasby Podcast by night, all day.
Hallo Connor, willkommen.
Dankeschön. How are you, bro?
Ja, good, good. Wie geht's?
Gut. Kannst du Deutsch?
Ein bisschen.
Wow.
Ich,
Okay.
Let's see. Ich lerne seit 5 Jahren Deutsch in der Schule lernen. Aber nicht jetzt. Any good?
Nicht
Do you
schlecht.
say? Not bad.
Not
okay.
bad. Yeah, no, nicht schlecht.
Not bad. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I said.
It's good, man. It's good.
Yeah. So
Way to go.
thanks. Because I think the first time I saw you, I actually thought you were German, but you're actually from New York, right? You moved from New York to Hamburg.
Yeah, I'm American, but German descent, so German American.
Yeah. Why did you move?
You want the long story or the short story?
We can do long. I don't mind.
Yeah, so when I was 19, I walked into a hotel lobby and I saw this woman. She was incredibly beautiful and I really wanted to speak to her, but I was a little nervous. I was young. She was obviously older. But I went up to her and she had a book and it turned out the book was in German. And then I just had this pull. I was like, fuck, I gotta learn German. I had wanted to learn it my whole life, right? My last name is German. My family came from Germany to America. And that was like the catalyst of all right, fuck it, I'm learning German. And a lot of good things followed from that decision. And finally, the reason I'm here right now is I won a Fulbright scholarship with the U.S. State Department to come and teach English and, build bridges. So,
okay. Yeah,
that's the long story. Yeah. So I guess I'm technically here as a representative of America, but it's not that serious.
Yeah.
But it's a really beautiful program and I feel super grateful to be here.
Nice.
It's just, I like it a lot.
Women is the ultimate motivator.
Yeah, it was really inspiring. Haven't spoken to her in a long time. I'm just very, very nice woman though. Very, very inspired me. She taught me a song. Can I teach you it?
Sure.
You might understand it. It goes, Alle meine Entchen schwimmen auf dem See.
All my something often swimming.
Yeah. All my auf is on. All my little ducklings swimming on the sea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a little while, about a year since I actually did German, so I think the neurons are fading.
Oh yeah, man. Everything fades without use. It's so true. I learned Chinese after German, but I don't really have a use for Chinese at this point, and it's just slowly getting worse. It's just I wish it wasn't,
So yeah, what made you want to learn Chinese?
Do you know Ray Dalio?
Yeah, the guy who wrote Principles.
Yeah, he wrote
Bridgewater.
Yeah, Principles is a fantastic book. Someone gave me that in high school, but later I read Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order, and that laid out pretty persuasively the argument that China's on the rise, the U.S. is on the decline. And I was like, well, let's just think. If our grandparents' generation, World War II, or our great-grandparents, if they had learned English, we're from a non-English speaking country and had learned English, would that have been a good decision or a bad decision? Probably would have been a pretty good decision. And then besides that, I taught Chinese kids English for 2 years. It was a part-time job that I had, so I could travel a bit. Actually, an English guy inspired me to start. His name was Dell. And I loved Chinese people. I have so much respect for this culture, actually. I think they're incredibly hardworking. And yeah, it's a really beautiful tradition. And so I just wanted to get to know them better and form more connections there.
Yeah, I kind of thought about it, similar to what you were saying, China's kind of on the rise. There's a lot of, obviously they have a large population, but no, I haven't really pursued it particularly far at all. I think the first I got did a couple lessons on Duolingo. So
Yeah, you're chilling, man. I think English is gonna hold out for a long time, and I don't know, like the network effects on English are pretty powerful. I don't think it's really going anywhere.
Yeah. So you also do ghostwriting. Can you explain for people what ghostwriting is?
Yeah, ghostwriting is. Some people would argue with what I'm about to say it's wrong, but to me, ghostwriting is just a sexier way of saying freelance writing, right? But positioning is very important. Right? Let's say you're a powerful CEO or founder of a company or investor. Would you rather hire a ghostwriter or a freelance writer? And actually, many people wouldn't want to hire a ghostwriter because to them it's kind of off-putting, right? Oh, like what if someone finds out I have a ghostwriter? But yeah, I always liked the way this sounded, and I was interested in writing, and I saw J.K. Molina was the guy who kind of inspired me.
Yeah.
I saw that, there are opportunities here, and I just went for it, and it worked out. Like, got a couple clients. I'm actually not taking any more clients on because I want to stop. I really like connecting with people as opposed to the done-for-you services. But it's been an interesting experience.
So you want to stop ghostwriting altogether?
Yeah, for sure. Like,
oh, wow.
Like I'm not gonna drop my clients because there's like 2 or 3 really good connections that I want to keep developing, and it's the type of thing that it gets a lot easier, right? The first like 3 months of ghostwriting for someone is really tough. It can be, depends on the client. For me, it has, and I was also a very new writer, so it was very stressful the first 3 months. Like it looks, a lot of things like they look really sexy from the outside, really, like just write tweets for someone. Like this was my idea, like, oh, okay, I'll write tweets, get paid. This is killer. Best lifestyle in the world. It was not that easy, but it's been good. And I'm not going to drop my clients that I like working with. I hope they don't drop me either. But yeah, I'm not looking to onboard anyone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think you changed it, but your bio used to be something like got to 10K a month in like 3 months, and I was like, sounds pretty good.
No.
No?
Just being. I'll just very careful on this. I said hit 10K or earned 10K or reach 10K. I think I said reach 10K in 3 months, and that was over the course of 3 months.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to misquote you here.
I also don't want to. I really don't like when creators or not creators, but like internet business people like over represent their stats. I think that I don't want to. Yeah, I think it doesn't help anyone to be dishonest.
Yeah, definitely. So how did you find? So you were kind of in the business world already, were you? And then you found JK, and then.
Dude, no, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm sure you've read Naval Ravikant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Andrew's probably been like top 3 inspirations for me. I remember like watching some of his stuff during COVID. I'm not sure, is this guy a scammer? Like, what is it? Because before you get into this stuff, a lot of it seems too good to be true, right? You can make money online, you can make money writing, you can make money with videos. Really?
You can make money anywhere.
Yeah, it almost feels like, what's the catch? And of course the catch is that like for 99% of people it's unprofitable and really hard to make it out of the trenches. But yeah, so I was really interested in content because of Naval and Andrew. And then Andrew put out this video one time. I was like, learn, don't, and then start. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, fuck, this video is so good. Just was like epiphany. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm starting a YouTube channel. And I made some YouTube videos about Germany. Those kind of caught on a little bit because I think when I look back on why, it's just like supply and demand, man. Like every German, they learn a lot about America in high school, and they learn English in high school. And the other way around is not the case, right? We don't learn much about Germany other than World War II. So there's this whole, like, okay, we know about America. We get fed a lot of American culture. What does America think about us? And I'm a guest speaker at German high schools sometime, and it's electric. Like the kids are really curious. What does an American think about our country? So I think that's why I got like a little bit of traction on YouTube. But it wasn't necessarily like what I wanted to do too long. But that kind of got me interested in persuasion and communication. And I started reading Dickie Bush's tweets about writing. It's like, okay, I'm going to keep writing. And I had been doing a blog before this too. I think just like the act of creating, like you're doing right now, is really powerful. Just like something sort of switched in my mind once like ideas started coming from everywhere. Once I had an avenue for them.
Yeah, I was listening to you. It was a podcast you with Eli. I can't remember his surname.
Oh, cool.
But earlier today, and you were talking about that, how you just thought almost everyone should just make stuff, and I think you do learn a lot from it. It's so interesting. Yeah.
So true, man. I probably should know this, but how did you get started with the podcast?
No, it's fine, don't worry. How did I get started with the podcast? Yeah, so it's actually, well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's kind of new, but I got into like self-development. It all started from working out, I think. And then I think that kind of improving one area of my life kind of leaked over to other areas. And then started learning about money. Then I had we sound kind of similar with the amount of different projects we were doing. So I had a finance Instagram page trying to like teach other people my age about money because they didn't really do it in school.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so that did all right. I think I got like 1,000 followers in a year, but I feel like I could have done way more because like I kept pausing for exams, and there was this other guy who was growing like the same rate as me, but then I kept pausing, and then he got to like 15K. So maybe a bit of I don't know, annoyance there, but you know, it's good. And then I actually stopped doing that, and then I had a fitness YouTube channel because I was into that a lot. I felt kind of more, I guess, qualified to talk about that as well. And I wasn't a massive fan of Instagram. I don't really know why I was using Instagram. I think it's just because a lot of people I knew were on there, so I just started creating there. But I prefer YouTube as a platform, definitely. And then I was having like interesting like conversations with my brother, and I still kind of wanted to talk about other things just apart from just fitness. So I was like, well, we could share these. I think we talk about some interesting stuff sometimes. And also partly, once I joined Synthesizer School, I was like, oh damn, there's some other really super interesting people who are interested in this kind of stuff. So I was like, well, the way I look at it is I get to kind of get to know people, learn from them, and make content all at once. So it's a pretty good deal to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we're here. Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you. Another thing I wanted to ask you about was like digital nomading, because I've seen you've been kind of traveling around a bit, right? Can you actually explain that term for people who might not know?
Yeah, sure. Digital nomadism is essentially like, you know, you are a nomad and you make money remotely, digitally. I was very attracted to this idea. I've really been reflecting a lot recently, and I think like one very, very core principle for me is adventure. I just felt like I want to explore and have adventures. So that's where this idea of being a digital nomad was very attractive to me. When I was in Germany learning German, I met a British guy, Dell, like I told you, and we'd have these group hangouts. We'd go to the river, get some beer, and just, it was great. Like people from like literally 25 countries like, on the river in Germany, drinking some German beer and just hanging out. It was so fun. Like after we had our German classes, of course. But every once in a while, Dell would be like, "Oh, sorry guys, I gotta run." I'm like, "Where does he always going?" And one day he tells me, "I got my student now." I'm like, "Who's your student?" He's like, "Oh, it's this girl from China." I'm like, "What are you teaching a girl from China?" He's like, "English." I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It was just like I couldn't even imagine like this random dude is video conferencing with a girl in China. Like this is before COVID too, so remote work wasn't really.
It was underrated still.
It was there.
Yeah.
It was still underrated. Exactly. And I went home that day, Googled teach. I hadn't graduated from college yet. So I said, teach English online, teach Chinese kids English online without a college degree. And I got a job at Q Kids. It was fire. I loved this job. It was so much fun. But then after college, I had won this scholarship to go to Germany, but it got postponed because of COVID, which was a blessing in disguise because like that slowing down really helped me sort of get grounded and reflect on where I was trying to go anyway. But that's neither here nor there. and then I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm not gonna wither away in my parents' basement. Like, no, like, I'm very grateful that my parents, you know, gave me a place to stay. Like, I mean, I was like 20. It's not like I was like with a family. But I said, if Germany doesn't let me in by August, I said this as a joke to my uncle one day, I'm gonna fly to Serbia. Just said it, you know. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, look, like Serbia is letting Americans in, because at that time everyone locked out like just Americans. You know, like there were a lot of travel restrictions, but for the first time, Americans were like the because Donald Trump was still president. I think this was a factor, and like, yeah, we just got like the cold shoulder, and I was like, what the hell?
No one wants to.
But Croatia and Serbia were open. My uncle was like, don't go to Serbia, go to Croatia. Like, I'm going to Croatia. And I'd like tell my parents, I'm like, yo, I got a flight ticket to Croatia. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I got an Airbnb book too. And because if you earn in dollars or pounds or euros, even, like, you can like, this is one of the big points for digital nomads. Like, you can, with the dollar and the pound goes really far in a lot of places, especially Latin America, Eastern Europe,
Southeast Asia, like currency arbitrage. I think Tim Ferriss talks about.
Exactly. Yeah, Tim has been a huge influence for me too. So then that was the start of my first digital nomad year. And then finally after that year, my scholarship in Germany started. So I've been in Germany now, running out my second year here, I guess. Wow, time goes fast. And it's been great, man. I'm probably going to head back to New York soon. But I think there's a time and place for being a digital nomad. And I think I might have passed it. Like, it was really, really good. But if I'm going to do something similar when I'm older and I have more money, it would be slow-madism, which is an idea I saw from George Mack, like having 2 to 3 home bases. Because what I love about switching location is it's a reset. I come to a new place, I have a chance to reevaluate my habits, think about how I was doing at the last place. And if you just kind of stay in one place, I think it's really easy to
get stuck
slowly degrade your stuck in a rut.
Environment design is so important, yeah. This is, because I was talking to Victor Romanovich. You know him, right, in the Andrew Kirby Center School? Yeah, the other day about this, and he was saying he's not really a massive fan of digital nomading because he thinks he finds it hard to get work done if he just keep constantly switching locations. So I think what you said there is a pretty decent strategy, is maybe go to like a place for 3 months or like 6 months before moving on, instead of going like a new place every month. It's like a bit much.
Exactly. But I think if you're going to do the thing one place every month, it's like, it's a solid thing to do when you're like, 18, 21, if you have the means or someone supporting you, or if you teach Chinese kids online. But it's not something to do like try to be building a business or working a lot of hours. Like I think the benefit of that is that you want to have a lot of free time to explore these places if you're bouncing all over the place.
Where did you visit when you were traveling around?
Yeah, so during this year stint, I only started travel. I didn't get a passport until, like, my parents are very typical Americans, right? We never had passports, never traveled.
Why don't you? It's literally free.
I think it costs like $200.
Oh,
but
okay. Everyone gets it. Everyone can get one though if they ask, right? That's why I find it so weird. It's
unless you're like, Sarah,
why do you not have a passport? Anyway, go on.
Well, America's huge. We got big oceans, and there is also sort of I can't speak for all Americans, but the common perception that, like, we're already in the best place in the world. So why would we ever need to? I'm not in this vote, but many people are. Although I think America is a fantastic place to live. I really can't complain about being from there. But so on this trip I went to Croatia, Zagreb, which is the capital, not on the coast, but it was awesome. Got to live right in the center of the city for like $700 a month, which is kind of expensive, but it's okay. Then after Zagreb, I flew to Germany. I had met this guy in Argentina the year before, and I was like speaking. I was a little drunk in Buenos Aires, and I was like speaking German in the bathroom to myself. And this guy, like this tall ass blonde guy, like looks at me. He's like, "Bist du Deutscher?" And I'm like, "Nein, bist du Deutscher?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then we just fucking connected right away, of course. And he invited me to his pig farm. His family had a pig farm, Lawrence, and I spent 2 weeks there. And then after that, I hit up my German teacher. She was my teacher on italki. So italki, you can like pay people like 10 to 20 bucks an hour to speak with you. And that's how I was practicing German. It's a really great service because you don't really want to like waste someone's time. You know, so if you're like paying someone, you don't mind making mistakes. And then I moved in with her. That was really, really great time. But then I had to leave because my EU visa or Schengen area visa was expiring. Then I went back to Croatia, this time to Split, which was on the coast. Incredible, man. Like living in the old city near the sea. That's a really great place to be.
Mediterranean is beautiful.
Yeah, and actually that's kind of the conclusion I came to. Like probably one of my home bases will be New York, so I'm near my family. And then the other one would be something Mediterranean because this is that's and then I went to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I did not have a good time there at all. I felt unsafe. Everyone called out me as gringo. Like I felt very vulnerable there, and it was also like I was kind of upset about having to leave Sina in Germany or in Europe, and I like was living in like the car, like basically like a closet, and I would wake up with spider bites and like to these guys snorting cocaine. It was really bad 2 weeks, but luckily my homie Oscar in Mexico, I was like, yo, dude, what are you doing? I'm in Brazil, but I don't feel good. Can I come visit you? Not that Mexico's like, not that it's even like close to Brazil, but then I flew and stayed 2 weeks with his family. That was fantastic. And then almost finally, I went to California to visit my friend Derek. This was incredible, man. Like living on the coast of California is there's a lot of crazy people, a lot of homeless people doing drugs on the street too. And I'm not a big fan of the whole ideology over there, but the nature in California, like living on the coast is really, really, really special.
Yeah.
And then, that was pretty much, I went to my grandparents and then it was a good time.
Yeah, wow, okay. You went around a lot then. I thought you were going to say just like, oh yeah, I just went around Europe a bit, but no, he's gone Europe, South America, Central America.
Well, if you get a travel credit card, I actually like didn't pay for flights like the whole time. Like the rewards on travel credit cards are like pretty crazy.
So how do you get points, right? But how do you like, is it if you get enough flights you get them free or something? I have no idea how this works already.
Yeah, it's like depending on the time of year they have like if you spend like 3K or like 6K in like a certain amount of time, they'll give you like that bonus, and that was like the big thing. Okay. Like Capital One Venture and like Chase Fire Preferred or something, or like Amex, but Amex is way overpriced. Anyway, I'm not a credit card guy, but definitely if you're gonna go on a digital nomad year, get a travel credit card.
I feel like it's one of those like rabbit holes you could just fall down and spend ages just analyzing how many points am I going to get for this and which card should I get. All trying to like rope you in. But yeah, no, I think if you do it right, you can do well, but make sure you pay on time, otherwise they're going to be coming after you with like 100% APR.
100%, man. Gotta watch out.
Because didn't you also go to, where was it? Amsterdam. You talked about psilocybin in Amsterdam, I heard on some podcast. It's like, that sounds interesting. What happened there?
When did I go to Amsterdam? I went to Amsterdam and the Netherlands during my year in Germany last year to visit, or not Amsterdam and the Netherlands, Amsterdam and The Hague. My friend lives in The Hague, Adrian. I like this guy. He's from Connecticut. And yeah, that was a really, really incredible experience. Of course, it's legal there, so just out there.
Just saying.
And we really have a good relationship. We met during Munich in that month language course where we had this really close group of international friends. So I think that helped a lot, and we just gave it a try. And I set a very clear intention, and I got some answers. And I if you're of age and in a healthy mindset, I quite recommend it. Like I really, of course, I grew up like hearing, oh, mushrooms, very dangerous, very dangerous, very dangerous. But Tim Ferriss was the one who changed my mind on drugs. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's not something you take like recreationally, in my opinion. It's something I look at it as like a tool. You know, it's like a tool to get clarity, perhaps.
Yeah, it seems they are doing a bit more experiments with them now, I think, for people with like PTSD and stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how that goes. Because I was speaking to Callum, I'm not sure if you know him, he's in Synthesizer School. Callum Rylance.
I've seen his blonde hair.
Yes,
his photo always stands out. Yeah.
He went and did ayahuasca in Peru. And he said a similar thing, like you need to set like a clear intention, and you wouldn't just take it for fun. Like,
right.
It's if you are trying to solve a problem or something.
Yeah, I want to be very clear on that. Like, I'm not looking at this as something like, yo, let's fucking see stars, let's see colors. No, it was like, I have a question about something very internal that I'm trying to understand. And we took like the lowest amount too, and then like progressively like tried a little bit. But yeah, definitely I'm not telling anyone to do it, but if you're gonna just be careful and be smart about it.
Yeah. I saw
and don't break any laws, of course.
Yeah, we would never recommend that at all.
Right.
I saw you did a tweet like saying you were going to be doing this podcast, and one of the things someone asked you was, what would you do if you were to like start again? And you said listen to the Naval How to Get Rich podcast thing, right? So it sounds like that had a big impact on you. Like, were there any like massive mindset shifts, and were the key takeaways from that? Because it was like, I agree it is very good. I just thought it was interesting that you specifically chose like that one piece of content to go through.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question, and I just want to be clear. I still feel like I'm starting out, like I am, right? I'm only 23, so maybe this answer will change. But for now, it might. But so I first heard this from the Akira the Don version. I'm a huge Akira the Don fan. I have mad props to you for getting him on the show. And I was walking through Zagreb, Croatia during my digital nomad year, like right in the beginning of my year. And I had been leaving university. You know, university is very leftist, very progressive, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And I had this feeling that making money was evil. And I kind of was telling myself this story. I don't want to make money. Like, it's fine. I'm okay without money because I'm not a very materialistic person. And that's still the case. Like, I'm not trying to buy a lot of stuff, but now I want to make money. And I had this epiphany on the street in Zagreb. I was walking downtown, and I just turned on this music, and it's like, and it's like, everyone vaguely knows they want to be wealthy, but they don't have a good set of principles to do it by. And I just paused it. I was like, wait a second. I had the chills. Like, deep down, come on. Why have I been telling myself I don't want to be wealthy? I was like, where did this story come from? Who put that seed in my head? Because I know from the bottom of my heart, fuck yeah, I want to be wealthy. And then just Naval is a very good communicator too. So that immediately it just clicked with me. It was like, oh, okay. Like, I do want to play a game, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try. And
you can do it ethically.
I'm going to give it my best. 100%. Like, yeah, like he talks about the example of Steve Jobs, right? True wealth creation. Steve Jobs got massively wealthy from creating the iPhone, but society as a whole did too, right? Because he literally created wealth by creating this new product. And yeah, there was just so many things in there, and just sort of understanding leverage too is very fundamental concept that I hadn't really been introduced to. Like, for example, I started posting YouTube videos again, and like they've been getting like 50 to 100 views, and some of my older videos got 100. One of them got 100,000 views, right? So it might feel like, oh shit, like, you know, it's not doing as well. But have you ever spoken to a room of 50 people in your life?
Perhaps, but that's pushing the upper limit.
Right. Like, it's so hard for our brains to really appreciate digital leverage. Like, getting 50 views on a YouTube video is wild. You just spoke to 50 people, you know, like, I don't know. So Naval was really the person who unlocked this sort of understanding about why content is such an interesting vehicle to try to build wealth. And it's been really fun trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I would second that. The leverage thing, when I found out about that, I was like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. Because I've seen people who have like worked really hard but haven't seemed to maybe get the rewards that people say that they, quote, deserve, right? And it was a thing, I think he says, the most important thing is what you work on, then who you work with, and then third comes how hard you work. And there's another thing along the same lines of, it's not about how hard you row, it's about which boat you're in. I think that might be Warren Buffett, I'm not sure, but that really, that was a pretty like big epiphany moment for me as well, I'd say. Like, we need the right vehicle. You can't just... So yeah, Naval says code, content, labor and capital, but content and code are permissionless. So he's smiling at that. You can yeah, it's going in.
Yeah, it's going in. It's very good. Another sort of big unlock that Naval triggered in me was that selling is like cool, and like learning sales skills is not a problem. And it's actually like what the big unlock for me was like, okay, like to persuade, you need to have empathy, because you need to understand the other people. You need to understand what they want and what they don't want, and what they're thinking about in their head and how they are receiving your message. Like, so it's a really beautiful skill in my opinion, actually, persuasion.
Yeah.
And before Naval, I'd had the perception that selling is evil or selling is icky. It's the used car salesman.
Yeah.
And then Naval sort of switched that up and be like, okay, selling is cool. Selling it's a skill set, and it's a beautiful skill.
If you can help someone, if you actually believe in what you're selling, can help them get to their outcome, then it's actually a fair deal. They're giving you money and you're helping them get to where they want to be.
Exactly. That's right.
Another thing, I don't know if this is even public, but I saw this in your school bio, and you said you were building the Social Dynamics Mastermind. Is that even a thing happening right now, or have you just not updated that bio?
Oh yeah, no, that's actually the thing right now. So I told you I'm trying to get out of ghostwriting, like not dropping my clients or anything, but trying to find a better vehicle to try to build wealth with. That is where like I get energy from. I can't say that I always get energy from the ghostwriting. I think the social media solopreneur dogma is like, oh, you know, fuck a job, fuck a 9-to-5, fuck a boss, like your own thing. And I think that's not necessarily the right recipe unless you're, again, in the right boat. And I think freelancing and agency work can be, you know, can have the downsides of the 9-to-5. I think we're like sort of in this bubble where a lot of people are, I don't know, saying the same things. Anyway, the Social Dynamics Mastermind is a group. It's a school community. Right now we have 7 or 8, I think 8 members, young men and digital entrepreneurs. Right now it's all young men, but of course women are allowed. Just it's targeted at young men, right? Because that's the avatar. I understand. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And the point is to master communication, and we're still sort of iterating. Right now it's $99 for 3 months, because I didn't want to do a year or a lifetime subscription, because I'm not exactly sure how it's going to take shape. But it's going to be and I'm actually doing like a horrible job communicating right now, so this is a bad sales because I'm talking all over the place. This is a bad sales pitch, but it's going to be for people who want to master communication. And yeah, I like the idea of, like, because Andrew's synthesizer school has been incredible for me. It's been such high value. So I want to build something similar. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it does remind me now that I'm pretty sure I did see a tweet of you talking about a community, but at the time I didn't put the dots together that is the same community as this. But that makes sense, yeah. That was partly like the reason I wanted to do this podcast with you, was I saw you on like the leaderboards for the synthesizer school of like all time. I think you're like 7th or something in the top 10, and I was like, oh, I've never spoken to this guy, because I think I joined, and for like the first few months I didn't do anything with it. I kind of forgot about it, I think, and then you were using it then a lot, I think, and then more recently it's almost like I've been using it more and you've been using it less, so I was like, I've kind of missed this guy. So yeah, no, since
I had the same feeling, man. I appreciate you reaching out too, because I've seen your podcast. I've always wanted to connect with you. Yeah, I never really go to the free accountability calls. It's just hard for me to, if I don't have something in my calendar, it's tough for me to get there. But
they are pretty early as well for us, so yeah. Anytime if you want to drop in, it would be good to have you.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, so you're talking about the YouTube channel, but I saw you're still posting on there. Do you want to keep going with that? Because I also heard you on a podcast saying how you're trying to focus more, like less but better.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing I want to focus on is communication. I want to become a better communicator myself so I can teach people it. And everything I've, like, I ghostwrite for a course creator, and one of the big lessons I learned from him is every successful course does one thing. Takes someone from A to Z, from not being able to do something to being able to do something. So my goal with this group that I'm making on school is to figure out what sort of online course I can offer. That's the long-term play. I think I want to have some sort of leveraged do-it-yourself online course that's related to communication. Whether that's maybe it will be more focused on digital writing, like copywriting. Maybe it will be more generally communication. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I can help people best. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
So you might use the YouTube channel to kind of get leverage and like leads for the course almost.
Yes, it's also a place for me. It's also a testing ground for me. I want to really get away from like perfectionism on posting. I want to just be prolific with my publishing cadence. And I had a real breakthrough. I just paid this guy $1,000 for consulting, just because like paying for consulting and coaching, in my opinion, is a really good investment usually, because it just kind of like, once you pay for something, you're more likely to do it. Like, all the information's free. We all know that, right? These accountability calls with the synthesizer school, I know they'd be high value, but they're free, so I don't go. Right? If I was paying for it, I definitely would go every week. I'm sure of it. That's also why my community is not free. Like, I want to have this paywall so that people who come are invested in.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just invested in this coaching. And why did I invest in this coaching with this guy? Because even though his YouTube videos only get a couple hundred views, I watched every single one of them. I just liked them, and I want to have that own backlog for myself, where I'm just being myself, not caring about the views, and someone who's like, yeah, I like this guy. Let me go see if he's got any deals. Oh yes, I get to go do all of this stuff. So that's why I'm trying to post more.
Okay. Yeah, because you got the Twitter as well. It's like, is the Twitter similar to that, or a bit more formal, a bit more smoothed out?
Yeah, Twitter is really my main channel right now. I think with Twitter, I got to get better about the next step for me on Twitter. Just like, also from the same course creator that I ghostwrite for, 90% of his sales come from email. Only 10% come from social. So I think a lot of us are focused on the social, but email is really the magic mover. Also, for Kieran's business, Kieran Drew, I invested in coaching with him in the past too. He shared with me his revenue breakdown, and email really is like the hidden thing that a lot of creators are missing out on. So I want to get better at like having some sort of like really valuable lead magnet that then converts Twitter followers into my email list, and then from the email I want to start either offering like one-on-one consulting calls. Yeah, that's what I want to do. It's not a debate, but from there, like plugging the community and the calls inside the email list. Yeah, because email's much more intimate.
Yeah, there's no algorithm or anything, or well, you can't get cancelled. Like that's some reason why some people use it, but I don't know if that's really a concern for you.
I wanted to share something with you. Do you follow Hamza?
Yes.
So Hamza put out a video last night.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not the hugest Hamza fan, but he's solid. You know, he's got some good stuff, and I think he's a very good communicator, and I respect him a lot. And he put out a video last night about like how to find your purpose. In the beginning of the video, he didn't say this, but he said, "I sell 2 courses." I can't do the British accent. And I'm telling you, it's about how to find a girl. It's about what to say to a girl when you bring her back home.
That's good.
I got 2 courses there for sale. If you give me your email, I'll send it to you. And I know exactly what he's doing, right? He's hedging against the risk that he eventually gets banned from YouTube. So he did a really hard call to action in the beginning of his video, which is obviously terrible for average view duration. But I was like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's trying to get as much of his audience off of YouTube onto email. That he owns that long, because now he's obviously changing his whole strategy. But yeah, I was like, oh, Hamza.
Yeah, no, that was a good voice. No, he did make a video. I think it might have been on his second channel, saying like, I think we're being cancelled right now or something, and he's saying how some of his videos are getting demonetized, and his Discord server was having issues with people like logging in and stuff. I think he said he had like 100,000 subscribers to his email list, and he was trying to get it up to like 500,000. But I have heard a lot of people say like an email list is like one of the best things you can build, because it's always like direct contact. So yeah,
and no one can take it, like you said before. That's my next thing, man. It's like, you know what I've noticed? Honestly, like a lot of times we know what to do. It's just there's so many other things, so much noise, and it's very easy to just like wait. And I'm really like this year, I'm really trying to get better at just taking action. I think yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like Callum was talking about how he had a word for the year. He had a coaching call with someone, and they were like, because in the past he's done a life book where he wrote out like pages and pages about what he wanted his life to be like, but then this was almost like the opposite. Just choose one word and just keep repeating that word to yourself throughout the year. And his was identity. And I think if I said to Callum, if I had to choose one, it would probably be action, because the best things that have happened to me is when I'm actually doing things, not just thinking about it. Just go, and it will figure out on the way.
Exactly, man. That's kind of how I feel, especially early on. You know, we're so early in our careers, in our lives. I think that is kind of the recipe.
Yeah. I saw you also are, well, I was going to say a fan. That's probably the wrong word. Stoicism has like impacted you a lot. So how so? Because I know you tweet about it sometimes.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you asking that. Probably no book has impacted my life more than Discourses and Selected Writings from Epictetus. I really like the Penguin translation, but for a lot of people who've never experienced Stoicism, that book's probably pretty boring and pretty dry and pretty hard to get through. But I've read it like 4 or 5 times now, and I have it right here actually. I got this new one for Christmas, but I don't like this translation as much. The complete works. It's from my mom. But I'll tell you how I got into Stoicism. And it was when I was with my ex-girlfriend Sina. I was getting kicked out of Germany. Like, not really, but my visa was expiring. I had to get a COVID test on Christmas morning, otherwise I couldn't get on the plane. Like Christmas morning was like the only time it was possible. And have you read this blog post? Because I've talked about it before.
Which blog post?
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you looked from your face like you had heard this story before, but
don't think
I
so.
don't want to repeat myself to you. Okay, cool. So we drive to the airport. Because I was the only place to get COVID tests. It was the first year of COVID. And we get into Dusseldorf airport and we're like, yeah, all right, it's 8:10. The thing opens at 8. We're chilling. We'll get in, we'll get out. You know, we got plans with mom. We got cake with mom, coffee and cake with mom. Then we got dinner and tiramisu with Opa and Oma, grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And we walk in and there's just a fucking line of people, man. The whole fucking airport is full of people like a snake. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I thought no one was flying. I thought we had a pandemic. And then I hear over the loudspeaker something in German, then in English, like, COVID test, 5 to 6 hour standing wait. And I'm just like, my heart sank, my shoulders too. And I looked at her, I'm like, there's no way. And I'm like, wait, but I have to leave Germany or I'm going to overstay. And then maybe I'll be in trouble like, it probably would have been fine if I had overstayed, honestly, but it might have impacted my scholarship. I was really nervous. So I was like, I can't do that. Don't want to, no risks. So like a half hour, I'm being a bitch, whining to her, like totally upset. And finally I open up Spotify just to numb the pain. And I had listened to Jordan Peterson lo-fi before and to Naval lo-fi before. So Spotify knew I liked Cure the Dawn, but it had never suggested a Cure the Dawn to me before. I pull up Spotify, I see an Akira the Dawn recommendation, brand new, the user interface for reality. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it was with Scott Adams. And I had heard Naval talk about Scott Adams. So I said, let me give it a try. If Naval likes that guy, must be a smart guy. And it's like, bum, 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 bum. He starts talking. And then there's one line that just killed me. Like finally 4 songs in, he gets to the point. He's like, first you must accept the frame, at least as a filter, that there could be a subjective reality and you can manipulate it. And I was just like, wait a second. Reality is a filter? It's subjective? And like, does that mean I can choose to be happy right now? And I'm like, wait.
Yes.
So I tried it. Dude, I tried it. And then I got super fucking happy. And then I had the best day of my life standing in line to 5 to 6 hours. The single best day of my life. Like, waiting in line for a COVID test because I realized, I can choose to be happy. And of course, right, that is Stoicism, right? We can't choose the externals. We can always choose our reaction, right? Some things are under control, others are not. And this was the big unlock for me. And I'm super grateful to Akira for making this album. Like it was really probably the most impactful moment of my life.
He's doing some really good work. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. What you were saying about the just making me think of the Jordan Peterson lo-fi and the Stoicism. I think it was the podcast with Eli you did. You were saying how a lot of modern books are kind of old ideas just like respun. Like Jordan Peterson's message, like take responsibility, control what you can, is basically Stoicism. And I didn't realize that, and I was like, yeah, that's actually right. So have you started like reading older books? Because I know Tim Ferriss has talked about that a lot.
Yeah, and just to double down on what you just said about Jordan Peterson, like Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, man, this is Stoicism. Like there's a chapter on memento mori, like his whole book is Stoicism. Like, just go read Stoicism. You don't need to read these bestsellers. Maybe they're more digestible. But, yeah, 100%, man. And another big influence on me has been Nassim Nicholas Taleb.
I was going to ask you about him.
Oh, cool. Hey, nice, man. There you go. Yeah, Naval, of course, talks about him. That's how I got into his stuff. And he talks about the Lindy effect, which is essentially like the longer an idea, I don't think he talks about it in Fooled by Randomness. I think he talks about it in Skin in the Game. I think. The longer an idea has been around or a technology, the longer it will be around, right? So books will probably outlive Kindles. Bicycles will probably outlive cars. Computers will probably outlive smartphones based on the Lindy effect. The Bible has been around 2,000 years. It's probably a good book. Like there's probably something in there that's useful. Otherwise, it wouldn't have survived so long. Stoicism has been read for 2,000 years. It's there's probably something in there. Meanwhile, 12 Rules for Life has been read for 4 years. It's very, very likely that 12 Rules for Life will cease to be deemed useful before Stoicism.
Isn't it also the length? So if it's been around for 2,000 years and still relevant, we estimate that in 2,000 years it still will be relevant. So it's almost
Yeah,
as
I've
if
heard this too.
the longer it exists, the longer it will exist, or the longer it stays relevant, the longer it will stay relevant.
That's the point. You're exactly right. That's it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Taleb, because I saw you mentioned him a fair amount in some of your tweets, I think. Do you have a favorite book from him?
Yeah, probably Anti-Fragile. That's what I'm rereading right now, actually. I'll just give you a quick story on Anti-Fragile. I had this one high ticket client. I got introduced to them by Nicholas Cole, and that was like paying my bills. Like this was really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they dropped me. I asked for a pay raise, and they dropped me. And I was like, oh shit! Like what the fuck did I do? By the grace of God, someone comes into my DMs, ask for my services. I replaced my income in like 3 days. That only happened because I was a freelancer, not an employee, right? And Taleb talks about optionality. Optionality is, he's a trader. He was a trader, Taleb, right? An option means if you have a stock option. I'm going to butcher this, so I'm not even going to talk about it, but you get it, right? Like you have the option to make a decision based on what happens in the future, either selling or whatever. And then that's when I realized, like, oh, optionality is fucking killer. Like you want to maximize for optionality, and of course there's the trade-off. If you maximize for optionality and never commit to anything, right? You can see this very, very clearly with romantic relationships. When you're young and you're still figuring stuff out, it makes sense to maximize for optionality, to make yourself the best version possible, so that you have more options and you can pick the best option. But if you never choose an option and you never commit to something, then you miss out on the ability to grow with that person. Yeah. Is my perspective anyway, at least. So I think like another way to look at optionality is Scott Adams has a framework of every skill you learn doubles your odds of success. And this, obviously the double is just made up, but it is the case, because then you explode your options, you become more valuable, right? You now know how to interview people. Like you're more valuable now. You know how to do this technology stuff. From synthesizer school, the skills we've collected from Andrew, we can do things, maybe become a content specialist like he's talked about. And so that book is called Anti-Fragile. He just talks about like the anti-fragile, when there's volatility, the anti-fragile benefits, whereas the fragile, exactly.
I think I may have watched like a couple of videos on it or something. I have heard about it. But yeah, it reminded me of a quote. I think it's Jack Butcher from Visualize Value. It's like, to earn compound interest, compound your interests. I feel like that's similar to the...
Pretty cool.
Because like you can be top like 1% at something, but if you're top 1% at like 2 things, then you're like almost 1 in 10,000. Does that make sense? Because
or top 25% at 3 things.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that combination is rare. So it adds more value if you're looking at supply demand. Which is how it works, basically. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Like you with fitness too is another good example. The fitness plus the podcasting plus whatever else you're going to learn in the next few years, it's going to be hard to compete.
That's the plan. Yeah, appreciate it. This is the only book I've read from Nicholas Nassim Taleb, Fooled by Randomness, and I thought it was really good. Something I think Fedor made a good point the other day. Fedor Shatuko, I don't know if he's also in the synthesizer school, happens to be where I know a lot of people from. But he was saying like good books can't really be synthesized, and I think Naval said like, if you ask me what's Nicholas Taleb's books about, or Nassim, I don't know, yeah, Taleb, his books, you can't really say that. There's like, I don't know, maybe Anti-Fragile is a bit more. Like you could generalize it. It's tough. But you could like, really generalize it, but you can't really specifically say what it's about because it's a lot of stuff.
It's kind of about like modernity, like looking at modernity from a critical lens, philosophy, randomness. Like, yeah, no, it's hard to exactly synthesize. You're right. That's an interesting point.
Where Naval says a lot of books just could have been blog posts because they're just explaining it in different ways, putting in loads of examples, but it's the same key idea throughout, which, to be honest, might help someone understand it better. But I think it's interesting that that's the kind of books you want to read, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also like makes me think of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I've never read it, but I've seen the chapter titles. they are just like Stoic principles, and I think you probably would be better off going to the source.
Yeah, because I've read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I do think people, I think it was Tim Ferriss said this, people are either kind of Marcus Aurelius resonators or like Epictetus. I haven't really, I think I'm going to, but I haven't really gone down the Epictetus rabbit hole. I've watched like Stoicism videos, so I will have known things from him.
Yeah.
But
I much prefer Epictetus and Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, but it's like basically the same stuff, just different delivery, right?
yeah. What we got here? So, how did you like get your clients for ghostwriting? Do you just
Yeah.
DM accounts who you think
No.
their writing isn't very good, and you're like,
No,
Yeah,
I don't love this like whole outbound stuff.
Mhm.
I don't want to do it. A lot of them have been referrals. I think like I've invested almost every penny I've made ghostwriting back into coaching and mentorship, and I can do that because I also have this sort of part-time scholarship / job thing. Or not every single penny, but most of it. And those people have kind of given me referrals and whatnot. But yeah, I think if you have the means, like investing with a creator, I think as in like sort of a mentorship, group coaching or individual coaching thing, you really can't go wrong, because people who are like building in public, building their personal brand in public, they don't want to mess up in public either. You know, so it's like, it kind of has this trust placebo effect, like people building personal brands where I feel like you can more easily trust. I'm not saying there's no bad actors out there, but yeah, that's basically, like I'm saying, if you want to like really know the secret, I think it's investing in mentorship. I think like Andrew himself has at least invested 50K. I would imagine he's thrown 100K. Yeah, I was about to say. I think like just getting over it, like stop looking at it as a cost. Like, and I have like some of these money like sitting in like index funds or whatever, and it's like, no, like fuck that. Like I don't have capital right now. You know what I mean? I need skills, and I need to be able to generate income. So I just said screw it, and I think I've invested probably at this point like closing in on 20K in mentorship, and it's had a huge benefit. So that's probably the route I would go if you're like trying to get your first client or something. Look for some sort of like mentorship program. That's
been a big kind of mindset shift for me, because when I first got into the, I guess, investing finance thing, people were talking about like index funds, like you said, and if you invest this much, it will compound, and in 40 years you're going to have 1.5 million or whatever it is. But then Alex Hormozy kind of flipped this on its head for me, and he's like, if you make 10% in the S&P 500, like you're better off investing in the S&Me 500, and you can probably earn a lot more by investing in your skills, which makes a lot of sense. If you don't have that much money, it's probably not worth trying to invest it, because in stocks or anything, because if you invest in yourself, you probably make the money way quicker, and that £100 you invest, it's not going to matter at all.
I'm so with you on that, but I will just add a quick caveat to this. There's somebody called the Lindy Man, Paul Scalise. He got his name, of course, from the Lindy Effect. He writes the Lindy newsletter, and he talks about there's really two different spaces. You and I are playing the payoff space, and if you're going to play in the payoff space, the S&P and Me is probably the better investment, right? Where you're trying to build this weird, unique combination of skills and then do your own thing sort of entrepreneurially, right? Where pay off in the sense that you might not win, but if you do, you might win big. Whereas if you play in the consistency space, like that's who that index fund advice is for. Like people making like 100K, being a consultant, being a dentist, being a lawyer. Like that's solid advice for these people. We're playing a different game. That's the big.
Yeah, it can work. It just reminds me of, someone asked Warren Buffett, how did you get rich or something? Why don't people just do your strategy? He's like, people don't want to get rich slow. It's so true. It's like, I don't want to wait till 90 years old.
Yeah, like what's that for? Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the last things I asked you, but I think it was another tweet from you. it's pretty interesting. You said how like your relationship with your parents improved when you were no longer financially dependent on them. Can you talk a bit about that? Like,
yeah, this is actually pretty recent. I'll just be totally straight up about this. Like, my dad is an attorney in the New York City area, so like everything was fine for us. It was a very different story when he was a child, right? Like he grew up very poor without a mother, and I feel very grateful that he made the sacrifices he did to provide us with more opportunities. And yeah, I think that's sort of, to me, the American dream is like an internal thing, and I think it's very clear to me that he did live that, and I think it's very beautiful that what he was able to do. But it also meant, my parents supported me through college, which I'm obviously not going to complain about. But the problem is, when someone is supporting you financially, they have a lot of say in what you do, and it's very hard to say, no, I'm not going to do that, because they are
paying for you,
supporting you. They're paying for you. How can you say no? And it just kind of led, like, it wasn't terrible, but it led to a bit of friction. And then when the last like year and a half, whatever, since, no, like 2 years now, no, like 3 years now, sorry, that I've been able to sort of keep myself afloat, I noticed it's a lot easier for me to connect with them as people, as I'm never going to be equal to them, right? They're my parents and I respect them, but it's much easier for us to find common ground, because they don't have that responsibility and I am able to act in the way I see fit.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think Gary Vee talks about it quite a lot, how you kind of, if you don't want to do what your parents want you to do, that's fine, that's good, but you got to kind of take ownership. You can't kind of expect them to help you out with it as well if they don't want you to do it.
Exactly, 100%.
I mean, it's been about an hour now. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any closing thoughts or anything? So I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
I've enjoyed this too, Owen. I appreciate you having me on. I think this is my first ever time being interviewed. It felt really special, so I'll always remember this. Thank you. Maybe last point would just be, like, I think if I could talk to myself 3 years ago, like, before I'm working, if I could like talk to my high school self, I would just say, like, start now. Like, you can start. Like, you can take responsibility for the way your life is going to go this second. You don't have to wait until the end of high school. You don't have to wait until the end of college. Like, you are the captain of your ship, and the sooner you realize that, the better off the rest of the ride is going to be. So that'd be it.
That's good. Yeah, I'm pretty glad I did that, or at least somewhat. Yeah.
Hell yeah, you did, man. You're doing great.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's been good. I see the sun has both been setting, both of us, but you more than me. You're like in the complete dark now.
No, bro.
But yeah, do you want me to link your Twitter and stuff? Where do you want me to send people?
Please, yeah, my Twitter is at CopywriteConnor, capital C, capital W, capital C. YouTube is at Connor Widmaier. Widmaier is kind of hard to spell. So
I'll drop a link so people can just click on
thanks,
it.
man.
And
Perfect.
your group of people, or?
Yeah, the Social Dynamics Mastermind is at school. You could DM me on Twitter if you're interested. For right now, it's $99 for 3 months. In 3 months, we'll be regrouping and seeing how this evolves.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I really appreciate you doing this. It's been good to finally speak to you, and seems to be doing a lot of cool things. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.